welcome to a new episode of Eldest Daughter Saves the World. We're so excited you're here to tackle a little bit of life's problems with some humor, some good advice, and just some friendliness. Enjoy! Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to Eldest Daughter Saves the World with me, your host, Coach Laura. And today's episode, I'm starting to record this, and I don't know how long it's going to take me to share what I want to share with you all today. And this episode is just about holding space for each other. I feel like a lot of us, myself included, are going through some pretty low lows right now, whether it be the state of the world, individual things that we have going on, just circumstances that are happening. We're all going through it. And I think we just need to take a pause and hold some space for each other. And I'm going to give you some tips on, just surviving. And I will preface this by saying I am in no way a mental health counselor. I'm just sharing some things that myself and those I know have really done to save their sanity. So to get started, I really just want us to take a moment, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, if you're walking, if you're driving, if you're just listening as you're doing other things, I want you to pause. If you're walking, keep walking, but just take a really deep breath and let it go. And that is something, if you're in that fight or flight mode, we forget to do, right? We start breathing in the top half of our lungs. And sorry, I'm making breathing noises into the microphone, but I think a lot of us could really stop, unclench your jaw. I discovered a new jaw tension little exercise. What you do is you close your lips and then you open your teeth without opening your lips. So it just kind of stretches those jaw muscles a little bit and kind of gets us to open and relax those muscles. So I think that's the place to start, right? What can you do to relieve some of the tension that you have carrying around? And whether it be finances, someone's health, dreading going into work every day, whatever, reading the news. I would be remiss if I didn't share that, but just, what are you doing to relieve tension? And I hope one of those things is to get off social media. And I realize the irony that some of you may have found your way here through social media, but that's okay. We have to figure out what is going to save our sanity. I've started playing this little game with myself that I'll let myself open social media and I will let myself scroll until I see something that irritates me. And then I immediately shut it down. Right. And that has worked for my brain to just say, okay, I'm giving myself that little bit of time. I do catch a couple of things that my friends are doing or a cat video or whatever it is. But then I also let myself have that moment of, nope, not doing this anymore. So I want you to find that little thing that you can do, whether it's your digital consumption. A lot of folks, I'm myself included, we have comfort shows and comfort movies that we watch. So I was feeling really down in the dumps this week, and one of my comfort series, which sounds ridiculous, but it's the Hunger Games. So I literally watched all 5 Hunger Games movies in a row because I had a day off, and I frankly didn't feel like getting out of bed. So I was very easy with myself, let myself kind of have that brain drain. So if you're able to do that, and you don't have to take all day to do it, but just, give yourself 2 hours of, mindlessness that you can do. I think also with relieving that tension, thinking about your physical body too, a new pillow can go a long way for a lot of things. I have been sleeping under a weighted blanket just because my body feels like it needs that compression right now, that little bit of extra hug. So just those little physical things that you can do. This is probably a total TMI, but I don't care. So yesterday I taught yoga, and I was just feeling like my clothes were constricting me. So finally at the end of the day, because, if you wear a bra, the best part of your day is taking off that bra. And so I took off my bra, I got my pajama shirt on, and I just decided I wasn't wearing pants. So I usually sleep in like sweatpants and, a t-shirt. And so I just slept in my t-shirt and my underwear. And it was so freeing. And even though it's like 10 degrees outside, I needed that freedom in my body. So just those little things, like don't give yourself a have to. I have to do this. Maybe you're drinking an extra cup of coffee right now. And yeah, those things can be damaging over time, but like right now, just let yourself have a little thing, right? It doesn't have to be, I'm suddenly in 20 cups of coffee a day. It's, you know what, Tuesday sucked and I had an extra coffee. So, just those little things that really bring you joy, little micro joys. We've heard you know, of triggers, and the opposite of that are those little glimmers. So just little things that make you happy. Everyone in my family, my kids included, we're obsessed with cardinals, and so we saw cardinal yesterday, and we're all just delighted to see the cardinal. And like same thing at our house, we have a lot of deer that live in the back of our house, and so when there's deer out there, the whole family will gather in the kitchen to watch the deer, and and we all glare at each other for a minute, and the deer go on about their day. But it's just those little moments of joy. And for you, that could be, my dogs bring me a lot of joy. And, sometimes it's just the way my dog gives me the side eye, makes me happy. Or, yesterday I gave our younger dog, she's not a puppy anymore, but she still acts like one. I gave her Valentine's toy and she shredded it. And for some reason that didn't upset me. It just made me laugh because that's her. That's what she does. She's a chewer. So just those little things that you find that can really help. And I think another thing that I am realizing I need to do is giving myself the right kind of contact with the people I need to have contact with, right? So, what I mean by this is, I'm a person that will pretty much keep to myself, try to stay positive, all of those things. But sometimes I just get down in it. And so I have a core group of friends that get those texts from me and I get those texts from them. And some of my friends are really sweet this week. They said, "Do you just want to text or do you need me to come over?" My sister said, "Can I call you? Do you need me to call you? What can I do from far away?" So just those little things. And I try to be that person for other people too. And sometimes you just need to get it off your chest. Rarely do my friends have anything that fixes whatever situation I'm in, but it's just really nice to have a few moments to vent, to have those things. And also in this category, if you have a particular person that you have to deal with that is maybe not a positive thing for your mental health, just figuring out a way that, let's say you have to check them, right? Some people you can just straight up avoid. And if you can do that, great. If you can't, figuring out a way that, you can interact with them, that it's not going to ruin your whole day. So I always use the example, and we all have these people in our lives that there are people that we just do not jive with. I don't want to say we hate because I don't like to use that word, very reserved for very few politicians in my world, but people that just, oh my gosh, you can't stand to be around for very long. And, the type of person I mean is that, they could cure cancer at this point, and you would say, "Ugh, they're just showing off," right? They could do nothing right in your eyes. Anyway, sidetrack on that. But trying to figure out, if there are interactions that you have, let's say that you have a project that you have to manage at work, and you always have to deal with the finance person on this. And the finance person always has something negative to say about what you're trying to figure out, right? So maybe you don't talk to the finance person until you have all of the numbers they need, and you tell them that I'm going to wait and get with you when we have all of these things in order, right? And so you're saving yourself all of those extra back and forth, to and fro, interactions that just end up driving you crazy. And I think another thing that I do with talking to the right people, because inevitably, right, it's the whole thing that you only catch your shirt on the door frame when you're mad. Same thing. I always get the rudest people in stores and when I'm out and about when I'm upset, right? And so sometimes we attract that, and sometimes we just aren't looking at the positive things, right? There's a way that you can interact with people. And I try to be overly, kind when I'm out, thank you, holding the door, all of the, ma'am, you dropped this, all of those kinds of things. And just those little positive interactions can really go a long way to changing your mood. I'm a person, and this is a genetic thing in my family. We love to flirt with babies, right? So if I'm in a restaurant and I see a baby, I'll wave at them and make faces, and those kinds of things bring me, again, those little micro joys. But seeing if you can kind of turn that around. And the other thing with the state of the world, so we talked about, having those interactions with people. And, I'm a mindset coach, so I know that mindset is everything. And we get ourselves in a spiral, right? Of, oh my gosh, because when it rains, it pours, right? When you are realizing that you forgot to pay the electric bill is the same time that your car has a flat tire, and then your kid comes home from school and says, we're going on a field trip and I need $30. And right, it just all seems to pile on us at once. And so we need to try to do that with our joy as well. And I am not a proponent of, because I have made my own mental health suffer with this mentality, but I am not a proponent of, it could always be worse, because I do tell myself that, right? Like, I'm in the middle of this thing, but at least my kids are healthy. And yes, that is absolutely true, but it's okay to say, I'm going through this thing and it absolutely sucks, right? And it's okay to decide that you are protecting yourself by kind of retreating back from the news, retreating back from what's going on in the world. And yes, we need people out there advocating, but there are ways to do that that also save your mental health, because a lot of us have hit our breaking point with a lot of those things. And so just doing what you can when you can is still better than nothing, right? And I think even just giving solidarity and support. I'm not a huge proponent of slacktivism, just being on social media sharing things. Like, you need to be out in the community doing the thing. But there are ways that you can share, hey, this is happening, and try to get people there, sort of a thing. So I'm probably just rambling with all of this, but I think what it boils down to is you need to take the time to rest when you need to take the time to rest. I finally, after 18 years married to my husband, have gotten him to the point that he can use his days off as mental health days. He does not always have to be on his deathbed. And he's, finally to the point of this ingrained company loyalty that he has. Not that you don't want to do a good job at your job, but they will replace you if something happens to you. And so take care of yourself first, take care of your family first, and the other stuff will just work itself out. Actually, my husband and I just watched an episode of The Pit. I don't know if anybody else watches that show. It's so much better than it has any right to be. My gosh, that show is good. But there was a lady on today's episode, and this is not a spoiler, but she's talking to her boss on the phone, and he's giving her a hard time about being in the ER. And finally, the doctor gets on and says, she will not be in today. And if you're going to fire her, she will sue you, and I will testify on her behalf. So you need to find those advocates in your corner, whether it's your friends, your family, your neighbor, whoever it is. Just, when you are too deep in your own stuff to say, this job is owning me, then, you know, let it back off, right? We all have those times when we have to do more than our share. But when those times become more common than not, that's kind of the time to evaluate for your own sanity. What's going on here? How can I set a boundary? And maybe the boundary is, I'll do this work, but you're going to pay me more, right? And that's a whole other podcast. But yeah, all of this to say, I want you to take care of yourself in the very best way possible. And those little things really do go a long way. I think a lot of time, when we're thinking about doing self-care, a few things come to mind. We're going to take that bubble bath. We're going to have this very nutritious meal. And you know what? Some days we need to celebrate that we ate it all. And yesterday was a great example of that for me. I was out and about running some errands and I set the boundary with myself that I was not going to have fast food. That just is not serving anybody. And so I don't know that this was a better alternative, but I had stopped by the grocery store and I bought a box of Raisin Bran and I had a bowl of Raisin Bran for lunch and it really hit the spot. And so that was taking care of myself. I still met my boundary of no fast food. I got a little bit of raisin fruit action going on, but take your wins where you can. I recently was coaching with someone and she just had a really, really hard week. And so our celebration was not that, she hit the goal we'd set the previous week. It's that she didn't go backwards. And even if you do go backwards, okay, stand up, dust off, move forward. We all have those stumbling blocks. We all have those times that, we just can't do more than the thing that we did, and that's okay, right? And so, all of that to say, I just really need you to take care of yourself. And the people that you love really need you to take care of yourself. And honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to guess the world needs you to take care of itself too, because you are that light that we all need, right? We're all light workers in our own way. We're all here for a reason to share our goodness with others. And so I want you to not internalize that you're not doing enough, that you are not doing the right things, that you're bound by your time schedule, that you're bound by where you live, all of those things we get in our own head about. You are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and all we can all do is the next right thing. And so I'll leave you with that here today. Just pause, take a deep breath again, do the little jaw unclench, and I will see you all soon. I'm sending you so much love. I'll see you next time.